Just who the hell do you think you are? That's what today's episode's about. Who are you? Where do you fit in the hobby? What type of collector are you? I talk about it all the time. I call myself a hybrid investor collector, right? Some of you guys lean more towards the investing side. Some of you guys lean more towards the purist. Take this card to the grave, get off my lawn, it's not for sale side. And I'm somewhere right in the middle. I didn't realize how right in the middle I was until I took a test. Yes, you heard me right. There's something out there called the Hobby Spectrum, created by a good friend of mine, fellow content creator and fellow collector, Jeremy Lee of SPORTSCARD's Live fame. He joins the channel today to help you look in the mirror and figure out where you fit in the hobby, and not just where do you fit in the hobby, but why? What now? What can we use that for? Where do we go from here? He also talks about a bunch of stuff that's going on in the hobby, the direction of SPORTSCARD's Live, and a new book that is coming out that is going to be a must-have for everybody who collects sports cards. Today's video, special guest, Jeremy Lee. It's about an hour long, so buckle up. But we talk about some really, really cool, fascinating stuff that you guys have never heard about yet. Enjoy. You guys watch my channel. You know I use Card Ladder for all of my sales and my pricing and to get comps for all the cards that I'm buying, selling, and collecting. I've got great news for you. Now, if you subscribe to Card Ladder at cardladder.com and you use the promo code Cajun, C-A-J-U-N, at checkout, you're going to get your first month of subscription free. That's a $20 value, courtesy of yours truly, Cajun Cardboard. All right, guys, Bryan with Cajun Cardboard coming at you from the great state of Louisiana, where it's 80 degrees, joined by a recurring guest on the channel and a hobby personality, a hobby icon. Is that fair? An icon? Jeremy Lee, SPORTSCARD Live, the Hobby Spectrum, Jordan Collector, Hockey Savant, and really the face of Canada as far as the hobby goes. I'm just going to say it. I know you can't say it, but I'm going to say it. Jeremy, welcome to the channel.
Thank you, Bryan. It's always good to be with you, buddy. We go back several years now, and it's been such a pleasure to watch you grow and continue to provide such amazing content to the hobby. So thanks for what you're doing for everybody. It's really amazing, man. Just the frequency, the commitment, the consistency. You're killing it. You're doing a great job. Keep it up.
I appreciate it. Two things. Number one, I was your Uber driver 2 years ago in Cleveland, and so I have not sent you an invoice. I'll put it in the mail. I'll pop it in the mail. I'll send you an invoice for that. Number two, we were talking before we hit record, because I was scared. I'm scared, man. I'm scared of how cold it is where you're at, and you're like, oh, it's not bad. It's like in the 20s. It's something like that. And I was telling you, down here in Louisiana, people panic if it's in the 20s. So it's funny that we're on today, and I collect in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Nobody collects like you and me do. Okay, there's just not a lot of huge collectors here. I had a dude on the channel yesterday from Malaysia, and now I've got a guy on the channel today from Canada. So the Cajun Cardboard brand is trying to get a little more out there and get a little bit more out in the world and touchy-feely with all of the nations all over the world. I've had Australia, a couple of different countries in Europe, Malaysia yesterday, Canada today. I don't know where I'm going next. I had Rodman from Honduras, right? So we're all over the place. So you're Canada.
I'm happy to be here to represent. And isn't it amazing what this hobby does and what all this technology does, brings us together? We have all these new friends. And you mentioned Rodman. He's a good friend of mine too. He's been on my channel a couple times as well over the years. It's unbelievable, man. How much the hobby can enhance your life if you put yourself out there.
All right. This is sort of I don't know what we even call today's video. Normally when I bring people on, we call it Collector Spotlight, and I'm asking you about your cards. And we are going to talk a little bit about your stuff and where you're collecting and what you're doing today, because I know people love to hear what other people are collecting and the moves they're making. But the first and foremost is I wanted to get you on here because there's something that you've done that I don't think many of my viewers of my YouTube channel are going to be aware of, and really not that many people on Instagram yet are aware of it. And it's a totally free service, and it's called the Hobby Spectrum. This is something, it was your brainchild, but you had a lot of help putting this thing together. Essentially, I'm going to let you explain it so I don't screw it up, and then I'm going to ask you dumb questions because it's easy for me. I'm just going to let the cat out of the bag. I took this test. I'm not going to tell you what I scored or what type of collector Jeremy's Hobby Spectrum told me I was, But I'll say this, it's an A+, man. This shit is accurate. That's all I know. It's incredible. We're going to talk more about it. Tell me about the Hobby Spectrum in a nutshell, what it is.
Well, there's a lot to tell, but I'll just get right to the point then. With a slight origin story about it. I've been doing sports cards live here on YouTube for almost 6 years now, started in April 2020. And over the years, we all, I have a very conversational type of show, live streams, and we're always talking about collecting versus investing. And for several years, you'll find me doing this. Okay, guys, we got collectors here, we got investors here. We all fall somewhere on that collector investor spectrum. And I've said that and done that little thing with my hands so many times, dozens of times over the years. And one night I was going for a walk, and I was after doing a show, and I was thinking to myself, about this collector investor spectrum concept. And I thought, hey, I wonder if I could bring it from the abstract and into an actual framework. And that was the seed. That one thought was the first seed of what I've now built in the last 8 months. And it really comes down to, like, how could we figure out where you do fit? Yeah. So after 8 months, the process began with asking the question, if I wanted to know where somebody fell on this abstract collector investor spectrum, what are the questions that I would ask them? Yeah. And from there, I proceeded to build out a whole survey. It's the collector investor spectrum survey, or assessment, which lives on the hobbyspectrum.com, which you're looking at right now, is a 50-question diagnostic assessment tool that you go through, you take it, and at the end of it, it gives you your results, which is based on your score. All the questions are scored, they're weighted differently. It's a whole thing, Brian. There's science behind it. And at the end, you get your score out of 100, which isn't really a score. A score implies that, the good more the better, or in golf, the lower the better.
Right.
But it's really a placement, is how I look at it on the spectrum. And the spectrum is divided up into these 7 archetypes, which you see in front of you here, from on the far left, the purist, to on the far right, the tycoon. So not only did I have to develop this 50-question diagnostic tool, I also had to develop these 7 archetypes. What are they? And then describe them. So it was a long, painstaking sort of process to come up with all of this. And then I find myself at the National last year in Chicago. I've got this idea. This is an idea, but I got all my documentation on it. And I'm thinking to myself, I want to have this built now. And I had looked at a few survey platforms that I could just have linked to from my website.
Sure.
But I realized at one point that, this is bigger than just like a tab on the SportsCardsLive.com website. This is its own thing. This is a tool for the hobby. And I think if I attach it to my other brand, it might dilute its appeal. It has to stand alone. So I'm at the National, and I run into a couple friends of mine who have built hobby websites. One being Mark Hill from My Card Post, and the other being Josh Madigan from the Hockey Cards Gong Show, who's built hockeychecklist.com. And these guys were chatting. I walk up, I'm like, how's it going, guys? Then I said, you both built websites. I have an idea that I want to build. I think it's going to be what I think is pretty awesome. Who do you guys use? Who built your sites? And they both tell me that, we're using whoever, I don't know. They didn't tell me who, but it's offshore somewhere in another country.
Mine was in Dubai.
In Dubai. Yeah. So theirs was, whether it was India or Pakistan, I don't remember exactly, but I thought, it's not really the direction I'm looking to go in. So I said, thank you very much. Couple hours later, maybe the next day, I'm walking the floor of the National. I run into Tim Getch, founder of ComC, who I've known for 15 years. He's a friend of mine. I go, hey, how's it going? We small talk. I go, I have this idea for this thing. I think it's got real potential to be useful for the hobby. I go, hey, Tim, would you want to build it for me? Knowing he's too busy. He goes, yeah. He kind of goes, yeah, right. Okay. He goes, but let me think about it. I said, okay. Next day, I hear him yell my name across somewhere at the National. He goes, hey, Jeremy. He goes, you know what? I want to introduce you to the company that I've worked with, and they've worked with other hobby firms, and they're pretty big in software development. I'll introduce you. I'll send you an email after the National. I said, that's great, Tim. Thank you so much. Get home. A couple days later, I get that introductory email. the guys from this firm, they're called Inferno Red Technologies. Brett from Stacking Slabs actually.
I've seen them. Yes. Yes.
You
I
know
saw them
from
on
you might
Brett's
know
show.
from yeah. So they sponsor Stacking Slabs, and Brett does podcasts with Scott, who's one of the co-founders and CEO. He's also had on one of their lead engineers, Ed, on his podcast. I listen to all of his podcasts, and so we have our first meeting, and I had met these guys actually a few years earlier at the Beckett Industry Summit. Yeah. And so they knew who I was. They were aware of Sports Cards Live, and I tell them the whole story. I tell them all about my idea, and one thing leads to another, and they accept the project, and which is amazing because these guys work with, they work with ComC, eBay, Upper Deck, DC Sports 87, NBA. They're legit. They're a real amazing software development company, and so I was thrilled when they accepted the project, and that was mid-August after the national, and so I sent them all my documentation. We had a few meetings in the interim, several, and in early December, we kind of got to a point where, okay, let's roll this out in a sort of MVP beta, kind of stage. And we did. We rolled it out, which it started with me just sending a few. Like, you cannot just go to the hobbyspectrum.com right now and get in because it's gated. We're going to remove the gate hopefully by the end of January. But it started with me sending a few access codes to a few people and saying, hey, check this out. I have to figure out if it works. And, you were one of them. Yeah. Make sure that this thing works. And, since the beginning of December, I mean, I've been sending, I sit here at my desk, Bryan, every night. And there was a couple of days ago, I sent out like 200 of these access codes. Usually it's like 30 or 40 a day. There's been a few videos that have gotten it some attention now. So it's picking up steam, but I'm sitting here sending out these codes. And now after that, the feedback I've received from many people, including a bit from you, but I'll let you share that after, has been that this thing is working and it's giving people the results they're getting are resonating with them. So I feel really good about it. And so that's kind of where we're at right now.
Well, here's the nuts and bolts. Let me just tell you. And we were saying that right before we hit record, and then we were like, wait, we got to save this. This is good stuff. I'm going to show everybody my score, and then I'm going to read 2 paragraphs that came from the actual, the dialogue, the description, the verbal. I mean, it was a report, man. I mean, this is like Sigmund Freud stuff, right? And Jeremy, I was absolutely floored. I don't buy into gimmicky crap. You know me. I'm pretty straightforward. I'm pretty objective. This was the word that I chose when I described it to you was eerily on point. I don't know what other phrase to use to describe it. These are the 7. We're not, we've been in the hobby for a while. We're OGs, right? You longer than me, but we've met purists, right? Take it to the grave. Screw you for telling me about comps. I'm never selling this card. I don't care what comps say, blah, blah, blah. No, it's not for sale. Then we've also met tycoons, right? These are guys they're just dealing with widgets, right? Buy low, sell high. However you got to accomplish that, you accomplish it. Cards be damned. If shoes take off, then we're jumping into sneakers, right? So those are the 2 extremes.
NFTs are Labubu's.
Right? Yes. Digital. We don't give a damn about the history. Keep your mint mantle 52. I could give a shit, right? And then there's the 99.99999% of the rest of us who are somewhere in between those 2 extremes on the spectrum. So I knew I was going to be somewhere between those 2. I knew I wasn't either. And I would have guessed, I would be like, you know what? I always talk about that I'm a hybrid, right? That's the term I always use, hybrid investor collector. I've said that for probably 4 years since I started my channel, and I took the test, and there's my score. I mean, right smack dab in the middle. Jeremy, you sent me the promo code. I jumped on. It took me, it says 10 to 15 minutes. I'm going to say it took me 10 to 12 minutes, 50 questions. Some of the questions I was like, yeah, that's true. But yeah, this is more true. So you've got to, it's almost like you're taking some of those standardized tests where there might be 2 right answers. You got to choose the most right answer. It reminds me of being in law school, right? Where it's like, hey, there's 3 right answers. Good luck. And I came out as a hybrid, and some of the questions were real poignant, real thoughtful, and had to take some time. But even then, 12 minutes maybe. And this is what it spit out. And I did this on we're on the January 8th. We're recording on January 8th. This happened on January 5th. And this is what came out. And now down below it, there's a big, verbal description of what does it mean to be a hybrid? So I'm going to kill this because I don't want to spoil it, right? Some people are going to want to do this. And by the way, it didn't cost anything, and I don't think it's going to cost anything. We'll talk more about that. And how often can you say in the hobby, nothing costs anything, right? I like to say that, as much as I can with stuff. But then again, sometimes it needs to cost something, right? Because you put a lot of work in, and you put a shitload of work into this. Let me just read these 2 paragraphs, right?
Sure.
Because these 2 paragraphs, if you guys watch my channel, and if you've been one of the subscribers to my channel for the last 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, tell me if this doesn't describe my mail days and my thought process to a T. All right, here we go. Your decisions often balance instinct and calculation. You'll stretch for a card that speaks to you, but only when the numbers make sense. You're not chasing ROI like it's a scoreboard, but you're aware of it. It's not your purpose, but it's not irrelevant either. You might pass on something beautiful if the value feels too high, or sell a card that you love. That's the part that hurts recently. If it helps you land something even more meaningful, which is exactly what I've been doing recently with consolidating. This isn't about flipping. It's about flow. It's about collecting with awareness. That right there is a T-shirt, collecting with awareness. That's how you make your money. Make a T-shirt that says that. Your collection may look eclectic at first glance. Facts. Vintage legends, chrome parallels, oddball inserts, modern autos, or game-used memorabilia cards, but it's not scattered. There's an underlying logic, maybe tied to eras or aesthetics, maybe to player or scarcity, that brings cohesion to the mix. It's not random. It's just flexible. And man, if that right there, those simple 2 paragraphs doesn't describe my place in this hobby as a hybrid, I don't know what does. I was flabbergasted when I read those words, because some of those are pretty damn specific, Jeremy. And it really pretty much describes my Fanatics vault. I mean, that is what my vault looks like, everything they just said.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing feedback for me, Bryan, especially in these early stages of the spectrum, because first of all, the fact that you landed as a smack dab in the middle of 50 and you've been saying that for so long, that's really validating for what we're trying to do here with Hobby Spectrum. One thing I want to mention, really important, do you mind sharing back the main screen the one that shows the 7? Yeah, this here. So one thing that's really important for your viewers and listeners, Bryan, is that one thing you might be thinking to yourselves is well, there's more than 7 ways to hobby. And
sure.
There's absolutely, it's close to infinity how many ways there are to hobby in this space. It's unlimited, right? There's so many different approaches. So one thing that's really important to keep in mind is that the Hobby Spectrum accommodates that in certain ways, in that, first of all, we all dip our toes in more than one of these archetypes, right? I personally came in as a 38 precisionist. That's where my score is. But I have some purist tendencies, some nostalgic tendencies, some all the way, probably very little tycoon, maybe a little bit. I will buy a collection just to sell it. So that's a tycoon tendency.
Sure.
What the Hobby Spectrum is really aiming to do is hone in on what is your core archetype? What is really the one that drives you through, even though you dip your toes in other ones? So that's the first thing. The other thing I want to mention is that we're early in the process, and we're still in, I don't know if I'm calling it beta or trial period or what. I'm not really, whatever you want to call it. But until we take the gate off the front of the website, I have I'll always have the ability, but we're still tweaking a few things here and there, and that's why it's still whatever, trial or beta. But there are future modifications coming where we're developing other question sets that will layer on to your core archetype. So you might be a 50 hybrid, but we're going to be able to show how, you're not like other 50 hybrids. There are little things coming. So it's just really important to keep in mind, because that's one of the first things that I recognized was you can build this, you can conceptualize a hobby spectrum or the collector investor spectrum, however you want to label it. But again, we all approach the hobby sometimes with many different hats as well. And the hobby spectrum is being built to facilitate. So when I was talking to the guys at Inferno Red Technologies to build this, I said, we have to make sure that the underlying mechanics of this thing, which I don't understand, I'm not a coder or a software engineer, will facilitate all of these other modifications, add-ons, layers that we're going to build over time. So this is really just the beginning of discovering your hobby identity.
Yeah, just the bones of it. You know, Jeremy, I just thought of this. You know what this reminds me of? My wife is always telling me she read this book, and if you're a husband out there, then you may have heard this. Like, comment below if your wife has talked to you about the different types of love language, right? I don't know if you've ever heard this, Jeremy, but my wife is words of affirmation and acts of like service, right? She likes it when I help her clean the kitchen. She likes it when I tell her she's fantastic and she's doing a great job. You know, most men are like, they're like touch, physical, right? A lot of men are physical, but each person like fits into this love language thing. So that's kind of what this makes me think of. It's almost like your hobby love language. It's like, what calls to you in the hobby? What's your why? What's your reason? What's the purpose behind it? Right. The one thing you were telling me, and that's great. You mentioned like future flexibility and malleability, and you may be, there might be 7 types of hybrids, you know, a year from now. The other thing that we haven't talked about is, Jeremy, if I took this test 4 years ago, my shit would have been different. I can tell you right now, we change. What we care about changes. When I came in 2016 to the hobby, I would have been damn close to operator or tycoon. I can promise you that, because I was all about flipping, making money, buying diapers and feeding kids and paying tuition. And my life has changed. My circumstances has changed. My education in the hobby has changed. I am collecting cards today that I did not know existed in 2016 or 17. And I think that's a very natural for collectors and investors, hobby experience to adapt and to change, sometimes violently from one end of the spectrum to the other. And it's funny that I've arrived at hybrid, and I might not be a hybrid forever, but I think I nailed it. I mean, I think the hobby spectrum got me right and called me a hybrid as of today, at the very least.
Well, yeah, can I jump in there? Because you touched on something that I should have already mentioned, really important. So along the spectrum, that's why I said before, I don't really look at it as a score as much as a placement. I use the word score out of convenience, but it's more a placement. One of the things here is that to me, this is not about moving up and down the spectrum. This is not like about nostalgics should try to become precisionists and precisionists should try to become hybrids. It's not about that at all. A lot of people would argue hybrids should try to become precisionists, who should try to become nostalgics, who should try to become purists, because it just depends what your thoughts are on the general state of the hobby. Yeah. So it's not about moving laterally up and down the spectrum. However, with that said, there's nothing wrong with having aspirations and having your mind open to how you could move up or down the spectrum based on what is right for you as just a human being in the hobby. So it's not about aspirationalism, but it can accommodate it if you would like it to. And I realized that early, and I thought to myself, I want this to become something where people can actually come back to. So what I realized was that what you just said, Bryan, we are evolving as humans and as hobbyists all the time. I've evolved as well over my 45 years in the hobby. I think you basically by default, we're all going to evolve or devolve, I suppose. It just depends. Sure. And so one of the things that I mentioned to you just before about these sort of modifications and add-ons is that what we are developing is within each of these archetypes is what we're going to be calling, and this is a bit of a heads up, I don't know that I've even mentioned this publicly yet, is what we're going to be calling the maturity progression. So within each of these archetypes, I mean, look at all the young kids out there with their cases, walking around with their big value cards. These guys are probably operators and tycoons, but they're young. They're just getting started. And then look at somebody who, discovers the hobby. This is a new kind of thing that I've been talking about, Bryan, is that I don't know about you, but I did not choose the hobby. The hobby chose me. And I think some people choose the hobby. Yes. And I can get into that in a bit, but if you choose the hobby, you can still mature within it. So some of these young kids who are they're seeing Tom Brady open stores, and they're seeing Derek Jeter in the hobby, and all these guys, Wembanyama, or is it Giannis, who likes to collect cards? Yeah. They're seeing dollar signs and they're coming in, but they're early. Or you're seeing people who are, just their parent collected, or their friend or their older sibling, and they're doing it because they just love these little, 8 1/4 square inch pieces of cardboard canvas. and they're finding it that way. So they may be more on the, nostalgic or purist end of things. And in wherever you fall, you can become better. You can become more intentional at collecting the way you are. So we're building as, and I hope it'll be our first add-on or modification layer will be the maturity progression. And now you'll be able to dive in and see, okay, I'm a precisionist, or for you, you're a hybrid, but how far along your maturity or your evolution are you? So that's something that's coming. So again, I wanted to add something somewhat aspirational to it, but I don't want to ever try to tell somebody that, you're a precisionist, you want to be a hybrid. You're a hybrid, want to be a builder. That's BS. No, you do you. And I think this is a way we can accommodate a little bit of aspirationalism.
Yeah. In a lot of ways, we're just tumbleweeds, man. I mean, sometimes you see the right card and you're like, I just happened to see the right card. Boom, I'm a soccer collector. My son was telling me that there was these Marvel PMGs. Boom, I'm collecting Marvel red PMGs out of nowhere, dude. Sometimes you're just, man, it's God's plan. Like if somebody shows you the right card, man, you can get sucked into a vortex and disappear. And I'm going through that right now, collecting Kobe Bryant cards, which I never thought in a million years I would ever say that. We buried the lead. Okay. So Jeremy, the hobby spectrum nailed it. Cajun, you're a hybrid. You're 50. You're exactly what you thought you were. You're so self-aware. You look in the mirror every day and you nailed it. Who gives a shit? Why does it matter? And I think we buried the lead, Jeremy. I'm about to show you something that's fantastic right here. Tell me about the pages that I'm looking at right now. There's a bunch of people on here that I've recognized some of these names, but some of these names I don't. There's different colors. Tell me what I'm looking on right now. It's called the Hobby Spectrum Directory and why it matters.
Yeah. So this is the Spectrum Directory, and this was just like, I did not set out to do this at the beginning. At the beginning, it was simply going to be a survey tool, just to give you the idea of how you collect, give you a better way to describe your collecting approach. And then I don't know. I go for walks at night, Brian. Usually, after I do my Saturday night live streams on SportsCards Live, and I'm still buzzing after a fun show with several guests and that, and my mind just races. So I was thinking about like, okay, you take the assessment, then what? And I was like, well, I don't even remember right now. Maybe it'll come to me later, but I don't really remember the catalyst for this. But what this is a way to. It's all about discoverability or discovery. So, the hobby spectrum, the assessment, the survey, it is all about discovering your hobby identity. But some people say, well, I kind of know how I do it. Sure. So what it is then is like, it's just putting some language behind it, some structure, the framework behind our collector identities. And I thought to myself, well, it would be kind of fun to find other people who are like me. Like, who are the other precisionists, or for you, who are the other hybrids? Yeah. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be nice to maybe build like a directory of these things? And that's what this is. So talking to Inferno Red Technologies and the lead engineer there, or at least the lead engineer on this project, his name is Ed Snyder. Great guy. We do a lot of texting and phone calls, and he's become a good friend of mine. And anyway, and he's actually been a guest with Brett McGrath on Stacking Slabs. So if anyone wants to ever hear from the guy who actually built this thing, you can go listen to the episode of Stacking Slabs with Ed Snyder. But so as the ideas were percolating, we came up with this thing, and each of these little squares here, I call them directory tiles. They're really like part of your profile. Yeah. So I thought, well, we could just list everybody and what they scored. And okay, well, who cares? Well, maybe we can link so people can find each other. And it just we kept on iterating and developing it to what you see here. So you can, that's, there I am. Yeah. There. So, you're showing so much of the cool stuff. So what we ended up building into was like a discovery tool. So discover your collector identity, discover like-minded or other collectors, and be discovered, which is kind of one of the keys to it all, is be discovered. So you can now come in here, and once you do the assessment, that gives you entry to the directory and a tile on here. And then you can add all of your links, your social media links, your hobby links, your podcast. So you can see, for me, I've got Instagram, my YouTube, my Twitter, my Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, my Apple, my Spotify, my ComC port, my card ladder showcase, my card post, my Mantle account, what some people are doing, even, which is really cool, in these more like the other links at the bottom there, you can put in whatever. So for you, Bryan, you can put in CajunCardboard.com. Some people are putting in their VeriSwap, or they're putting in their whatnot, or they're putting in their own website. Another cool thing that I thought about, you have guests on your show who probably don't have their own podcast or their own YouTube channel. Let's say and I've had over 300 unique people come through my channel over almost 6 years now. If you've been interviewed by somebody in the hobby, and that's your piece of content out there,
link it, baby.
Link it. Let people go see you on whether you were interviewed on any channel out there. It doesn't, Stacking Slabs as an example. You know, whether whoever you've been on Cajun Cardboard, go find the link to that video, put it in your Hobby Spectrum directory profile, link it there. People can find you. It's almost like a living business card in a way in the old days, but everything is linked. So, and then you can, so I love the be discovered and the discoverability. If you just if you hit, let me show you how to work this thing. Hit clear all. Clear all, hit that. So this is the default right now. It defaults by join date. So the latest person to join is Ryan Coit. It looks like there. He's the 392nd person to join. If you go to the far right, Bryan, beside 392, click that little arrow. It'll reverse it. So there, I'm the first person on it. Ed Snyder, who built the thing, and so on and so forth. You can see all the order people joined.
Look at this legend.
Right there's Chris Hoge, who I'm sure he's a legend. I'm sure your audience is well aware of Card Ladder and House of Jordans and all that. So you can sort by join date. Now click out of there for a sec. Click on one of his links.
I just want to show people that like how preposterous this is. Like, this is literally hobby dating game. I mean, I'm in Chris's collection. Just like that. Just like that. I'm looking at the greatest Jordan 101 collection in the world, probably, but you get the point. Like, jump right to it. All right, we're
right to it. Click go to just scroll down halfway, scroll a little bit, and just pick someone at random.
Jeff Hart, good friend of mine, Patriot Sports Cards. Let's click Jeff.
Click on his Instagram.
Bang.
And now all of a sudden you can go there. And now if you're not following, you can already go and follow his Instagram. So it's a discoverability tool. So if you go back to where you were, click out of there. Now, just for fun, let's say, because this is getting long now. We have almost 400 people in here. So let's say you're okay. I just want to scroll through. Go scroll down a little bit for me. And now stop. Now Teapot, you're right on Teapot. Go click on Precisionist, the word Precisionist. Shows you all the Precisionists. Now if you clear all, or don't even clear all. Go back to Teapot. If he's right under your cursor there, and click on the 36. Shows you all the 36s. So
Best friends.
You can see, talk about dating games. You can see exactly who has the same score as you. These people likely have a lot of similar collector DNA that you have. Now you can go through and you can go to you can go follow them on Instagram. You can DM them. One thing that I was really firm on with the software developers and my team, I've got a small team helping me do this and think things through, was that this is not going to become, there's no plans for this to become another social media or social media platform. This is, there's no intercommunication, there's no posting, nothing like that. This is simply like, I don't think like we can compete with Instagram or YouTube or Twitter. We can't compete with these guys. And we don't really want to. We're already using these platforms for our hobby community. So the Spectrum directory is a tool to use what you're already using even better. So go through, find everyone who scored a 36, follow them on Instagram,
and follow them.
Send them a DM and say, hey, we're all 36s. Let's start a private chat group. Let's support each other. Let's share ideas, whatever it is, become friends. Like, it's just about enhancing your hobby experience and finding like-minded collectors, that sort of thing. So that's pretty cool. You can also at the top there, you can sort by you can pick, you can do it that way.
I wanted to show you this. Look at these numbers. You ready? So 392 in here, right? About 50 of them, 49 of them are purist, right? That makes sense. How many do you think are tycoons? I know you know, but I'm asking a rhetorical question. 4. Here's my theory. We don't have time for this shit. We're out here trying to flip cards and make money. I don't have time. I don't care enough about the damn cards to come in here and do your stupid games and care about meeting friends. I'm not about making friends. I'm about making money, right? That's the mindset of a tycoon. So it's no coincidence there's, 5 times, 10 times as many, purists as there are tycoons, because purists want to get anything and everything they can out of the hobby. That's why they're here, right? It's kind of funny that the disparity is like that. Of course, the other reason for that could be that you're probably friends with more purists than you are with tycoons, if I had to guess.
I think that's a big part of it early on, right? I've been talking about this on SportsCards Live, which, my own platform, a couple of there's been a few videos made about it by some other people.
This guy's lying, by the way. This guy right here, Joshua B. Adams, straight up lying on his question answers. There is no way this guy who owns his own auction house is an 11. He is just trying to show off and get the lowest score possible. He's a liar. If you know Josh, you know that's not correct. He's probably somewhere around me and Jeremy in the 30s or 40s at least. So, Josh, nice try, but you're not fooling anybody.
Well, one thing you mentioned was like how we do all change. So one more thing on that really quick is that the way we're setting this up is that you can redo the assessment every 30 days. And that's an arbitrary number, but I thought it was a fair number. Like, all the time is a little bit too much, like any time, and once a year or once a quarter, maybe not enough. We are changing over time as collectors. So you can update your score every 30 days. And your profile will track your progression. So you can always go back and see, where was I back in January of 2026? You can do that 5 years from now and say, oh, I was a 50 and now I'm a 58, or maybe I'm a 65, or maybe I'm a 35, whatever it is. Because the other thing is that you have to think about your mindset. Like, we all do a few different things within the hobby, or many of us do. So you have to decide which hat you're going to wear when you're going to do this. And really what I mean by that is you have to, when you're choosing your answers for each of the questions, you have to select the one that best applies to you. And maybe in that moment, maybe at that time. So it's really meant to accommodate all of these different things. I readily admit we haven't thought of everything, but we're trying. And when I send out these access codes, I'm asking people to give me feedback, and some people are giving me some great feedback, and we're acting on some of it. I mean, I'm not necessarily going to agree with everything, because this is something that we've thought a lot about, and you can take the assessment and have some feelings or thoughts about it, but they may not really be completely informed on the whole project and the scope and where it's going. Yeah. So, but we're definitely open to feedback and acting upon it, especially while we're in this trial phase or beta. And it's a lot of fun, man. I'm getting sick feedback from people. Like, I've had one guy, I just posted it to the Hobby Spectrum's Instagram account. His comment, I don't know if you want to bring that up quick, but it should be there still. And you just showed the Hobby Spectrum on Instagram, and this one comment that someone left was, if I don't know if you click on the story maybe at the top, if you go to go to the top of the page here, just scroll back up.
Sorry, I never mess with it on desktop.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't work.
I never use desktop. Yeah.
Oh, you know why? Because I did it from my own personal Instagram, not from the Hobby Spectrum Instagram.
That's okay. We got you, dude.
Yeah, there we are. Right here. Right. Pause that at the top. You can pause it. Up. Yeah. Okay. So read what Linda's first wrote, if you don't mind.
I just wanted to thank you for doing this, Jeremy. Because of the directory, I've been introduced to so many collectors, spelled wrong, and their collections, specifically on Instagram. I just love browsing their collections and commenting and asking questions when appropriate. Thanks, buddy. That's cool. That's it.
Yeah.
It's a hobby matchup, man. I mean, it's really cool, Jeremy. It really is.
Thank you. And this comment was like, is what it's all about. Collectors, collections, conversations, yeah. I was thrilled to read that comment when he sent it to me yesterday.
While we're here, let me real quick, because I got to get better at this. You're great at this on your show, but I got to make sure people can find you when they need to find you. So first of all, 2 Instagram pages. First of all, thehobbyspectrum.com. Before I get here, Jeremy, do you want people to reach out to you and ask for promo codes, or do you not want them to reach out? Okay.
No, absolutely. And by the way, you can get to the website by thehobbyspectrum.com or just hobbyspectrum.com.
Okay.
Both Hobby Spectrum redirects to the Hobby Spectrum. At first, the reason for that, Bryan, is because at first hobbyspectrum.com wasn't available, but the Hobby Spectrum was on GoDaddy for like $13, but Hobby Spectrum was over $1,000. And I was like, well, I'm not, forget it. Like, this is, I'm doing this for free. Like, it's, I'm kind of investing enough already. So, but then I realized, well, I don't want someone else grabbing Hobby Spectrum. So I just bit the bullet and I bought it too. So
wow. Yeah. You're upside down on this, man. You're in the red on this.
Oh yeah. But if you're in, so you won't see this screen right now. Actually, if you log out for a second, if you go to the right arrow on the far right there.
Oh yeah. Got it.
And you just log out, sign out, and then it should take you to, okay, so right here, if you have a preview code, you'll enter it in here. If you don't have one, just go down below. It says join the wait list to get one. Click that. Put in your name, your email address. You'll get on the wait list. Every day now, because we're getting more and more of these, I'm receiving that wait list from my guys at Inferno Red. And then I go in and I'm sending out the codes. And it's you're getting them within, it's down to about a day where you'll get your code and then you can go in and do it. So that's where you go to get it. A cool thing is that now that you're in, Bryan, if you cancel out of here and down below it says sign into your account. So you just put your email address and it'll email you a verification code, which is like cutting edge for accessing accounts.
Right. It's like 30 seconds, dude, and it's in your inbox.
Right. Yeah. No password. You don't need a password to remember. You'll just always get a code sent to your email address, which I think is super slick. I was super impressed when Ed told me that this was the way to go. Yeah. So I definitely want people to do that. I want to make sure I get as much feedback as I can as possible before we go really public with this. And then when we do, we're working on one more feature for the directory. Like I was talking to them yesterday and they said, like, we're kind of there. And I said, well, we're kind of there, except there's one major addition to the directory that I want to add before we go public. And I don't know if I want to mention it yet, actually, because I hope we can make it happen.
Breaking news on the Cajun Cardboard channel. Breaking news.
Yeah,
late on.
Yeah.
It's too late now.
I'll mention it. I'll mention it because I think it comes back down to the discoverability aspects of it. So I don't know that there's any central place to go to find out who collects what. And I think this to me is built to do that. So what we want to do is we want to add the ability to search within the directory for people who collect Michael Jordan or people who collect Wayne Gretzky or Messi or whomever. And we also want to be able to say who collects basketball, who collects hockey, football, baseball, wrestling, WNBA, whatever it might be. Who collects the
Dale Howard-Chuck.
Well, or who collects the New York Yankees, or who collects the New York Rangers, or who collects whatever team. So that's the last sort of feature that I want to make sure is in there before we take the gate off the front and really start to push this thing. So
that's
anyone who's sorry.
That's a big deal, Jeremy. You bring that full circle and you tie a bow on it with that feature at the end. I don't know how you would do that because that's a big ass directory, but Jeremy, that's special, dude. That's big time. That might matter more than, finding another hybrid. I mean, that would mean a lot, especially if you're in the market of trying to sell or trying to buy or buying collections or asking questions. Right now you're posted on Instagram, you're shooting it out to the world. You got people answering poignant hobby questions that we post. If I put a question on mine about the best Detroit Red Wings player to collect, I'm going to get answers from people who collect ultra modern football quarterbacks. I'm going to get questions from people who collect Pokemon. I want to get answers to questions from people who actually do that, right? Yeah. And that might be a way to kind of really pinpoint and get straight to the heart of the matter.
Well, I like how you said it on Instagram. You're just putting it out to the world. It's almost the way I was thinking in my brain when you said that was like, you're shooting. You're shooting your rifle, but there's no target. You're not shooting at any target. With this, it can be much more specific. You can come here and search by people who collect Michael Jordan or Kobe or whomever, or people who collect based on the Cajun Cardboard hierarchy. You can search all these different ways. So team, player, and sport is what we're going to start with. And then, I have aspirations to add sets. But there's like freaking billions of these things. So I don't know how deep we go, but we're starting with player, team, and sport. And I think that'll be a really nice way to find and discover collectors. And like, let's say that you're on the left end of the spectrum. You're a purist, you're a nostalgic, you're a hybrid, a precisionist, whatever you are. And you've got this card, you came across it, and maybe you don't want to keep it anymore. And so maybe you're going to say, hey, let's go find the operators and the tycoons who might be interested in buying this card. And maybe those guys who deal in this particular player. I mean, we all many of us deal in more than one player. So we're going to make it so that it's intuitive, but also as specific as we can be. We'll see how it goes. I don't yet know what it's going to look like, but we're already throwing around ideas. That's
incredible. If you pull that off, dude, that's incredible. But here's what's going to happen. The purists are going to be like, I'm not selling this, Gordie Howe rookie card to some asshole tycoon. I want to make sure another purist who collects Red Wings gets to keep the card in the family. So they're going to go looking for people like them who believe like them, think like them, and care about the Red Wings, right? It's fascinating how many different directions it can go. Hobbyspectrum.com on Instagram, real quick. Let's make sure everybody goes and follows. I'm going to single-handedly get this thing over 1,000 followers. That's a fact. We're getting this thing over 1,000 followers in the next 14 days. It's 142 followers. That's not enough. Shit, we got 392 people who have taken it. These jerks haven't even gone and followed it, right? I mean, come on, man. You send them a promo code, they don't even follow it. So they got to go follow it. Everybody that watches, go follow it. It costs you no money. And then go ahead and also, and there's going to be a lot more on this one, Jeremy's Sports Cards Live page, 10.5 thousand followers. Go follow Jeremy on Instagram as well. And Jeremy's got the balls to do live shows. I do it occasionally, but usually I record stuff just in case. Of course, I'm never going to misspeak, but my guest might misspeak, and so we can edit if we need to. Right?
Dude.
Jeremy's like, lays it all out there every time, right? Sports Cards Live.
I'm at like over 800 live streams now in almost 6 years, and I misspeak all the time. It's one of the things where people will come at you. You said this. I'm like, I don't remember saying that. And then I'm like, I said it, but I said the wrong word. Freudian slip. It happens all the time. So one more thing that's really important is that, because you said over 300 people have taken it, actually almost 600 people. Well, when I talked yesterday morning, almost 600 people.
That's right. Yeah.
You don't have to opt into the directory. If you don't want to put yourself out there, you can just take the assessment, get your result, and be done with it. If you want, come back and do it again. You don't have you opting into the directory because it's public information. That is, you got to opt in. You got to check the boxes about, being privacy policies, that kind of thing. This is for people who do want to grow their network, grow their experience, meet people. I mean, Bryan, like, I've been in the hobby since 1980, like literally a hardcore collector since I was 8 years old. You want to do the math, you can see how old I am. And since the pandemic, the hobby's just gotten so much better for me because of all the friends I made, because of social media, because of going to more shows, and meeting people in person that I met on social media and all that stuff. So the spectrum is really about enhancing your hobby experience overall. But yeah, you don't have to opt in. And there's been when I talked to him yesterday, he told me there were 471 completed when there were 350 people on the directory. Now we're at 392.
And look, I haven't done the directory thing yet. You and I were going to work through that today, but I know how to do it now. That's going to be super simple. You just go paste a bunch of links and you're in, man. And
that's it.
And everybody can find me on there. You guys go do it the way Jeremy suggested. Jeremy, you sure you don't want me to give everybody your cell phone number and have them just text you that they want the promo code? Okay, do it this way. Thehobbyspectrum.com. Go on there, request a link, put it in there. Jeremy will get it to you. Just give him a couple days because there's a lot of requests and maybe 30, 40 a day. It takes a bit. So just give it a little bit at the time. Totally. I just want to reiterate, totally free. Like there's no risk here. There's no uncertainty. Like he didn't need my social security number. He did not get my credit card information. Like none of that. My email address, I took it. The rest is up to you if you want to mess with the directory. Totally free. In this is the hobbyspectrum.com. All right, Hobby Spectrum, let's put it to bed. Let's talk about your collection, your collecting habits. What's going on lately? What's the last card you bought that mattered?
Oh, that's a good one. That mattered. I buy cards for $5 and I buy cards for tens of thousands. So it just not regularly. Don't get me wrong.
No, give me a big one. Give me something that matters, something that you recall. The first card you think of that's not, a $5 card, not a set piece, right? Give me a big card.
Well, the National, I bought some really nice cards, the National for myself. Like I love vintage baseball. I
Yeah.
love 90s inserts, Jordans, Shaqs. I love hockey from the beginning of time to today. But my right now, you know how we kind of move around. The National, I did pick up a couple of Michael Jordan inserts. I
Okay.
picked up the Emotion Intense, and
Yeah.
I picked up the Full Court Trap, which I just think they beside each other, they look so cool because
They
they kind of
do.
play off each other in their colors. But I also picked up my number one want list card, which was a 1941 play ball Joe DiMaggio, and I also
Okay.
picked up my number two want list card, which was a 1933 Gaudy Lou Gehrig. You know, excuse me, I'm kind of known for being a hockey collector because I'm in Canada, but I love my hockey cards, and it is
Yeah.
most of my collection. But it's it's kind of like I've been doing it so long that I get more interest now in just other things. I have more interest in other things. So vintage baseball is probably my number one love right now. But I'm all I had a sick Jordan collection for a while.
I remember you showed it to me the first time you were on my channel. And I was like, holy shit, I had no idea. Like you were showing me stuff. I was like, dude, I knew you were in our Jordan group chat, but dude, I did not know. Like you really, like you had some serious stuff in there.
I had some heavy hitters there for a while. I was in a position just personally, financially, where I had to get some money together. So I sold most of it. I have a few pieces left. And it's, I kind of miss some of them, but at the same time, you do what you got to do when you got to do it. And I know you've been going through that yourself. So, that's kind of where I'm at. But I just, dude, like I love cards. I'm, even 45 years into the hobby, I'm still discovering things I didn't know about, like early 2000s. First of all, 90s inserts were kind of new to me. Like I didn't take any breaks in the hobby, but in that second half of the 90s, I was really just focusing on hockey cards. I wasn't looking at much else. I got it. I always collected basketball. I was opening up packs of 1980 tops when they were first coming out and
so was
separating them
in the gas station, at the convenience store. Yeah, me too. I was too. Yeah.
Yeah. In the backseat of my mother's station wagon. I have vivid memories breaking those apart. So, but in the mid 20 teens, I got big into going back and learning more about 90s inserts. So, and then in the last few months, literally since the second half of last year, 2025, I've been getting into Pacific patches from hockey sets that they built. They're cheap and they're fun. I mean, I picked these cards up from $5 to $80 max, maybe Canadian. Yeah. And I've got like 80 of these in my collection in the last 6 months. Yeah. It's fun. I love cards, Brian. I love cards. Like, it's weird.
Do you know what I love? It's almost like pulling a thread on a sweater, but when you find a new pathway that you haven't explored yet, like a new set, and you're like, you know what, I'm going for it. I just did that with Kobe Bryant rookie cards. Like I've never bought a Kobe card. I bought one Kobe card in my life, and I've just started buying Kobe Bryant rookie cards, and I'm like, I didn't know this. I didn't know this. And now I'm learning so much, and it's important to me so I can speak intelligently about it on my channel. Because there's so many people out there that collect Kobe, right? And one day it'll be Griffey that I'll learn about, his insert market. And one day it'll be, maybe Jeter and maybe Brady one day, but right now it's like just moving from, Giannis to Lillard to Jordan and now into Kobe. It's so fascinating and soccer as well to go down a completely new path as a complete noob. I don't know nothing, but I want to know everything. And so it's so fun to just open up a new door and go down that path and make decisions. Is this too high? Is this too low? Well, let me look at the gym percentage. Let me look at the pop. Let me look at who sold the last one. Was it green? Was it PSA 10? Was it new label? Was it an old label? Is it an SGC? What are the pack odds? There's a billion questions, and that's what makes the hobby. That's why it never gets old, man, because it's a new decision every day. And it can be in a new segment damn near every month for me, depending on how sidetracked I get. What about Sports Cards Live? Talk to me about the Sports Cards Live schedule. If people want to check out that your YouTube channel, talk to me about the schedule and what's coming up on it. I know you got a regular schedule, but what's anything coming up that you can share with the folks who've never seen the channel that maybe should go check it out?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I've been doing the Saturday night Sports Cards live stream. I kind of refer to that as the flagship show just because I do other shows, but that's my bread and butter, I guess you could say, the flagship. So that's pretty much, it's not every Saturday because I do sometimes have a life outside and I do sometimes have things to do. And, you know, for almost 6 years now, my wife knows that Saturday nights are kind of like off limits, but there are things we have to do. So anyway, it's most Saturday nights, probably 47 a year.
There you go.
And I go live at 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific. I'm in the mountain time zone, so it's 8 o'clock for me. And after my kids have gone to bed, I have young kids. And I bring on different guests, you know, Josh Adams, who you poked fun at.
The liar. 90sauctions.com.
He comes on at the end of the show. Chris McGill comes on at the end of the show with him pretty much every Saturday. My buddy Joe Perot comes on at the beginning. Leighton Sheldon from Just Collect comes on. He's also a sponsor of my channel. He comes on, brings the vintage flavor to it. And we just talk about whatever is on our minds, collector topics, what's in the news, what's going on in sports. We'll talk about whatever we want. And it's really chat driven. You know, I started with a live stream. I've done very few pre-recorded episodes. I've done a few, but very few.
Yeah.
And so the chat drives the conversation a lot. And I'm kind of known for integrating chat comments into the show. It's like I say at the beginning of every show, all right, let's get to it, everybody. Your comments and your questions are in play, which means that if you're going to put something in the chat, there's a pretty good chance I'm going to put it up on the screen. Yeah. Now, I do try to filter through and, you know, read them first. If someone's going to say something really stupid or insulting, I might not put it up there. But yeah, so that's what happens on Saturday nights. Sunday nights, I've been working with Fanatics Collect back into their PWCC days. Since 2021, I've been doing shows with them. So me and Adam Gray, the Real 27 guy, he's been my co-host on the premiere show. So, you know, the third Thursday of every month when the Fanatics premiere show is ending. And you've actually guest starred on that show several times.
Oh, I had a blast. Yeah.
Yeah, you've come on with us several. We'll get you on again soon. Yeah. We go through and we cover the extended bidding and we just talk about the cards. That show can last for up to 5 hours when they have 350 items. Yeah. That's a lot of fun. And then on non-premiere weeks on Sunday night for their weekly, I go live by myself and I just hand select, you know, up to 100 cards and I just talk about them. And the chat is telling us what they're bidding on and asking me to look at certain cards. I'm kind of, I do a lot of zooming right in and analyzing the condition of certain vintage cards, even modern as well. But I kind of do the Gretzky rookie a lot, and it's a very nuanced card.
The last time I was on your channel, you really walked me through that with the registration, the oil drop, and all that. And I was like, because I was asking you questions like, I don't like this rough right edge, and you're like, nope, that's normal, dumbass. You know, that's what it look like.
Yeah, so I do that show on Sundays, and I work with a lot of different entities in the space, several auction houses I do shows for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times a year. I work with about 5 or 6 different auction companies now. I work with the Front Row Card Show. Dan Bliss, the founder, we do a quarterly show, and he comes on and we just talk about hobby stuff. But we're promoting his business. We're promoting the hobby as well. I've worked with Fund Your Cards, Mark, who do a show with him. We haven't done one since he started dental school. We haven't done a show, but
imagine that.
Yeah, right. So really, like, I am in the hobby full time doing content. I haven't even mentioned this. Maybe you're aware, but I'm about to publish a book as well called Pops and Comps. It's truths, insights, and psychology behind the numbers that drive the sports card industry, the sports card hobby, and that is literally we're self-publishing on Amazon here soon. It's 82 chapters, 7 appendices, and it's about to be dropped on Amazon.
Give me a date. You got a date for sure? Because
I don't. So it's right now in with the interior designer. Who knew you needed an interior designer for a book? But if you want it to look professional, you do. So I got myself an interior designer. She's out of West Hollywood, of all places. She's going to have it to me by Saturday. We're here on January 8th right now, 2025. So she said she'll have it back to me by Saturday. We'll go through a revision process. Then I got the book cover is basically designed. He just needs to know how thick the spine is going to be. This thing's going to be, it's going to be big. I got to warn you, it's going to be, like I said, it's 80 chapters, 7 appendices. It's going to be she told me about 380 pages. So, I'm hoping to get it out by the end of the month. There's a couple of issues I'm dealing with just from a don't get sued perspective.
Yeah.
So once it's all worked out, we'll have that up there, and that'll be up on. I've been working on that for just under a year. It's kind of funny. It was a spin-off of the Hobby Spectrum, which was I was thinking about other spectrums. You know, there's not just the collector investor. There's the aesthetic spectrum. There's the gambling spectrum. There's all different ways. These modifiers I was telling you about. And one night I was thinking about, after a show, I was thinking about, not all comps are created equal. There's a comp spectrum out there. It just needs to be defined, frameworked. I thought maybe that should be a part of the hobby spectrum. And I realized, no, that's something different. The hobby spectrum is about looking inwards. It's about discovering your hobby identity, discovering like-minded people. It's not about what a comp is.
Right.
But I thought, well, but this is important too. And then I started iterating on that. And then comps became, well, comps is kind of like the demand side. What about the supply side? Well, that's pops and print runs and all that. And then the whole idea for pops and comps came out. So after I handed off the Hobby Spectrum documentation to Inferno Red, that's when I really started building out and writing this book, which I had already started, but then I was able to really dive in and put my head down.
The target market for your book, because you read some excerpts to me. It's pretty sophisticated stuff. Like it's definitely going to appeal to me. What about beginners? What about folks that have been in the hobby 3 months? I mean, are they going to get something out of that book, or is it going to go whew over their head?
Well, you're absolutely going to get something out of the book. It's meant for really like everybody, but it's also meant, it's like, I don't want to sit here and tell you that like, all I can say is I've been in the hobby as long as many people, you know, longer than most, probably at 45 years, I guess 46 this year now. And it's the culmination of a lot of my experience, but also all what I've consumed, observed, listened to, seen, spoken about with all the guests on my show over almost 6 years now. It'll be 6 years in April. And it's just filled with insights and things that if you're new to the hobby, you likely don't know. If you've been in the hobby a long time, there's still going to be some things in there that you might not be aware of and that you don't know. So it's for everybody, I would say, but it's also for like spouses or parents or children of people who are deep in this hobby and they just don't really know. They still think that you're talking about baseball cards that you play around with at recess. Why are you spending thousands of dollars? Well, if you're somebody who hears that from your spouse, get them to read the book. It's gonna enlighten them to all these things and let them know just how sophisticated the industry of sports cards and the hobby of sports cards really is. So there's a lot of information in it. Tons.
I'm going to give the book away. I've just started a monthly newsletter on the CajunCardboard.com website. So every month there'll be a big email newsletter going out. I'm going to get a bunch of copies of your book off Amazon, and I'm going to try to give one away for the first 3 or 4 months. I've also got Adam Gray's, 25 and 25 book over here. So I want to make sure we're educating, right? I'm going to do my part. Yeah, there it is right there. So Adam's got me a couple. We're going to give those away. We're going to get those out in the community for anybody that wants them, and Pops and Comps will be on the list as well. Along with some Jordan cards going out in the monthly newsletter giveaways, which, I can't wait to pick which ones go out in these newsletter giveaways. But Jeremy, man, thanks for joining. We're right at the hour mark. I appreciate it. And I got sidetracked at the beginning. What I was getting at is it's 80 degrees here, and I think it's in the 20s up there. And so we're worlds apart, but it feels like you're in the room right here with me. As always, I appreciate your time. Appreciate you coming on the channel. A lot of really exciting stuff coming with the Hobby Spectrum, with Sports Cards Live, and of course, Pops and Comps, the book.
And Cajun Cardboard, man. Congrats on the launch of your website and just continuing to build out your projects. I mean, it's what it's all about, man. Is taking your knowledge and sharing it with people and giving people reasons to continue to be interested in this hobby. So, again, I'm grateful. Thanks for having me. First of all, letting me talk about this for so long. It's really special. I appreciate it, and I hope at least one of your viewers appreciates it and finds use in all of what I'm trying to do and what you're doing as well, man. Yeah,
we're gonna get it there. We're gonna get that Instagram followers up. I can promise you that, because a lot of people are gonna watch this, and it appeals to everybody, man. It appeals to everybody, no matter where they are on that spectrum, and it's free. That's the magic word. It's like, hey, it's free, but it's pretty cool to look in the mirror and kind of understand yourself better. That's kind of part of the human journey. Is the better you understand yourself, the more successful you can be and the more out of life you can get, So
yeah, man, it's free, but it's one of those things where, like, if you build it, they will come type of thing. And I think that, like, at some point I'm going to try to find a way to monetize. I mean, I'm not going to pretend that this is like, it is for the hobby, but and I didn't build it to make money, but then I realized, well, there might be some value.
There's going to be value, dude. You got to just build it. There will be value in that.
And I'm investing in this, but really, when I had a chat with Dr. Beckett early on about it, and one of the first questions he asked me was, how much are you going to charge? I said, what do you mean? I said, it's free. You know, I'm not doing this to make money, but if there's a way to recover my investment, that'll be pretty sweet, because it's, you know, it's an investment, but I feel like it's important. And I'm really, it's been, last year, 2025 was such a fun year, creatively, building this, writing the book.
Yeah,
it's been amazing. I'm lucky I don't have a full-time job.
You need to take a break, dude. You need to take a break. I'm doing the same thing. I was like, man, I got this project. I got that project. I built the website. I was like, I need to freaking just record some videos and relax. I don't even want to buy any cards right now. I just want to chill the hell out.
I just can't wait to spend time with my kids again. You know,
That's right. That's right. So. Cool. Thanks for joining, man. We will get you on here again, and I will keep everybody posted on when the book drops, and I'm sure we'll by following the Instagram page, we'll know when Hobby Spectrum goes live officially. And man, that's great. You got some awesome stuff going on. I'm really excited. 2026 is going to be awesome, man.
Same to you, Brian. Thank you. I appreciate it a lot. Thanks, my friend.
Thanks, Jeremy. Guys, thank you for watching another episode on the Cajun Cardboard YouTube channel. Keep collecting, stay positive in the hobby, and peace.